Oh my gosh, that was so fast, bro.
I'm telling you, I'm sitting here. Look, I've had 2 cups of coffee today, so I'm just going to be like a stream of words, and it's like Scrabble pieces that just fell out all over the floor, and we
Let's
don't know what's.
go.
It's beautiful
That's so
chaos.
funny. Well, man, it's like no, the Lord loves you because man, I've done Instagram lives with a decent amount of people, and it's like it's always like one of those side texts. Hey, dude, I just tried to get on and it won't get on, and that's what I'm saying. So it's so fast, I can't believe technology worked for you. So
Well,
or
you
for
know
me.
what?
So
Look, and look, I'm like pre-senior citizen age. So look,
that
if I
dude,
can do it, anybody
exactly.
can do it. Tell them it's about scheduling.
Yeah, that's a personnel problem if you can do it. That's great, man.
It's funny. Those words are ringing true in my dad's. That my dad used to always say, "Early is on time is late. Being late's nothing but a lack of discipline." I
Dude, I
hated
heard the
it.
same thing. That's so good.
I hated it as a kid.
It's so
Man, I
true.
just made me want to vomit. And
Yeah, but now that
but
you're a grown up, you love it, right?
oh yeah, well I got to bless my children who are now adults with that gift. So
Hmm.
and that's what I did. That's what I
Yeah,
did.
you did.
So
Dude, good for you.
yeah, man.
Well, thanks for joining me
Of
for the holiday.
course. Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
if I'm being real honest about it, you and I, we don't see each other a ton, but I just figured you and I could, instead of, well, we haven't had lunch in like a year, so I feel like this is the same and other people just get to listen. This is all just me talking to you anyway. So
Okay, awesome.
it's probably a selfish motive just to hang out.
Yeah,
So
that's
anyway,
good.
where are
That's
you at,
good.
by the way? Are you at your office?
Oh, what's that?
Are you at your office right now?
No, no, I am at the house. We are doing some yeah, I'm at the house today.
Oh,
So
nice.
we are doing there's some renovation happening up at the church, which is all exciting stuff. So
Yeah.
we have no power today.
Oh, for real?
So it was one of those everybody was like, "Hey, work from home," and
Yep.
I'm sure everybody's. I'm doing that classic thing where I'm wearing shorts and a button-down shirt because that's what you do when you're doing
Uh,
video stuff. So
when you're pre-senior citizen, you can do that.
yeah, exactly. I'm literally sitting here barefooted in some Adidas shorts, but you know what? From here down, crisp,
You're so
boy,
professional. That's
crisp.
so good, dude, right
Telling you.
there.
My
That's
wife
so
turned to
funny.
me. It was funny. My wife turned to me before she left. She was like, "Now you're not going to have to stand up or anything." She's worried about aesthetics, so I'm just going to break that wall down straight out of the gate. I said, "No,
I
he's not
love
going
it.
to have me dance or anything, or
I
like,
love it. Maybe.
I mean, I'm
Maybe we'll
fine if
see.
you want to go there."
If
So
your wife says that's what happens.
exactly,
Oh, that's so
exactly.
funny. All
Yeah,
right. Well, dude, let's talk kids industry because I had plenty of people ask. The reason I asked you about this a while back is because I get asked all these questions all the time about random stuff.
yeah,
And I don't always, I mean, I have plenty of answers. I'll give you information, whether or not it's accurate and helpful, I don't know.
sure,
But I'll
sure.
make crap up all day. So, so anyway, I just thought we could talk about kids industry stuff.
Perfect. Well,
So
do you want me to sort of give a snapshot of who I am, all those kind of
always.
things? I feel like
Yeah,
that.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Uh,
exactly. I know because you've been at a couple big churches. Obviously, you're
yeah.
here in Austin. So give us
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
this
Sort of
going
the
on, man?
rundown. So, I have served at 3 different churches. One up in Arlington, that was affiliated with the Osteen family, and then I ended up coming to Riverbend Church down in Austin. Was there for 13 years, and then I've been at Celebration. This June will be 3 years.
Yeah.
I've actually had this month is 21 years as a kids pastor, and it's awesome. Look, I
Yeah.
got fruit snacks for days. That's all
Yeah,
I
you
can
do.
tell you. So, anyways, personal life. I've been married to my amazing wife for 33 years. She is a gift. She is far cooler than I am, and I outkick my coverage,
Yeah.
so to speak, with that one. Got 2 kids, 25 and 29. They are both married.
Mm.
And as cool as it was to be a dad, I am a papaw. So we are papaw and honey. We have grandbaby number
Honey.
4 on the way, which is just spectacular. So currently we have Carter, Jack, and Kason. But now we've got the little one, and at least as of right now, I know my son is horrible with surprises because he takes after his father. We're currently planning for it to be a surprise because I was like, look, you already got
Okay.
2 boys and a girl, let her rip, Tater Chip.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but we'll see. They may know and just not be telling anybody. So, interestingly enough, so our first time when we went, so the church that I'm at now, and I plan on retiring at unless they kick me out the door. Um, which I don't think that's going to happen because I make them
Yeah,
laugh or
that's
all
right.
those things.
Exactly.
Is at Celebration Church, and it's we get to I get to see you on Sundays, usually 8:15 service
Right.
rolling through. I'm usually coming from a campus, but the first time we were there was to actually see our granddaughter get dedicated, and I
Hmm.
think the thing that jumped off the page was the intentionality that you felt. I mean, you've seen parent-child dedications, and
Hmm.
it's just. Yeah, it's world class.
Yeah.
So we walked away and it was like, man, this is something special. And I remember turning to my wife. I said, man, if God was ever to open a door, and sure enough, I think when that conversation happened, it was about 3 years later that
Mm.
everything just worked itself out, and
Wow.
it was there was a big step and all those things. And the thing that's interesting is like one of the things, and I think we're just sort of jumping into this, but one of the things that I hear a lot from people, and you interview a lot of people for kids ministry and
Hmm.
people in education, those kind of things that are coming into kids ministry, and they go, well, I haven't gone to seminary. I haven't gone to seminary. I haven't gone to college. I haven't done any of those things. I've just approached it
Good for you.
as literally get in there, put your hand on the plow, do the work, love people well. If you love
Hmm.
people and you have an ability to grow,
Right.
you can pretty much do any of that. And I think the thing that's sort of I'm finding over all these years, and you and I have talked about this, I've never looked at kids ministry as a step,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
usually people do that.
Yep.
It is an easier onboarding pocket to
Right.
step into ministry. You have a
Right.
lot more grace because as long as you make the kids laugh from the platform, you're fine. And they
Right.
had a good time and no one got hurt. It's those basic things. And I don't think for me a calling isn't something that I grew out of.
Right. Sure.
I'm 53 now, and
Mm.
I will tell you, it looks different.
Right.
We've had, these conversations. Um, I know the benefit and the need for a preteen lock-in, but I don't want to be the one staying up all night because, man, I'm old. It take me 4 days to recover.
100%.
So it's just today my role is different.
Yeah.
The church that we're at, we have a tremendous amount. I get to work alongside an amazing team of ladies, and I think if we're just completely honest, they're the ones that's running everything, and I'm just making sure that I go beat this person up or push this
Sure.
thing through or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing team of ladies, and ministry looks different for me. If there was one pain point that I had to sort of adjust to when I stepped over to Celebration Church, because we have 4 Texas locations, we're working on a third one in Italy, and then we've
Oh
got
yeah.
multiple in Mozambique, Africa. So ministry looks different. I'm not so much in the nuances of stuff, the grind of preparing a lesson and doing those and teaching
Hmm.
it every Sunday, but it it's sweeter now. I think one of the key things that I was told. So Pastor Jim Kuykendall, he's one of the
Hmm.
pastors at our church. Amazing guy. We have same hairstyle,
Hmm.
While we
Yeah.
were in going through the interview process, he turned to me whenever I was talking to him about my age, and he said, there's one distinct thing that you realize when you turn 50. You clearly realize what you can't do anymore.
Mm.
And what ministry has become for me is about pouring into the young people, pouring into the people around me that are going to
Right.
do it long after I am. And that's really, where ministry is for me now. So it
Sure.
is about I am a papaw. I look that's my favorite name. Dad was awesome, but
Yeah.
stepping, and I feel like I do a lot of that with people, and it's authentic, and I don't know how to not I don't know
You
how
don't
to
know another
fake
way
it,
for that. Yeah,
you
that's
know?
right.
So anyway, and me, you could probably,
Yeah, yeah.
you speak to that, but
Well, so help us here then. I mentioned to you yesterday or the other day, and of course everybody knows this. You've already spoken to it. You don't fit the cliche kids pastor demographic. Just the fact that you're a man, first of all, then you're older.
yeah,
Um, so what? I don't go too long. I'm just curious. Like you said, you have an amazing team of people that quote do the work.
yeah.
What the heck do you do? You know,
Oh,
what does leadership look like to you day to day for your team? You know what I mean? Like, are you checking in with
well,
them, and how do you lead them?
yeah, well, to me, I think it's interesting because there's dynamics there. I think churches oftentimes want to go and they pursue, okay, what is this leadership organ? And leadership
Right.
is critical. Leadership is so important. But
Right.
you dive into too many podcasts and you dive into too many
Hmm.
books, whatever it may be. And yes, there's great things, but
Right.
you always have to filter it through the aspect of its people.
Yeah.
And to
Sure.
me, you think of alignment, empowerment, engagement, accountability. You think all these things, and those feel great, and you can see that young person going, "Yeah, this is awesome."
Yep.
But the difficulty is if, like, if you take empowerment, and this trickles all the way down. If you empower somebody so much, and then you don't have any kind of relationship with them, they end up feeling abandoned.
Yep.
And so, to me, uh, leadership is about the people. It's about, I go around to everybody, even people outside of the team. I am sort of that temperature check guy.
Yep.
But if I can, you know, when you're parenting, your actions are going to always speak louder than your words. Your kids will see what you do in
Yep.
moments more. And I try to replicate that for the team. But what's amazing is you see this trickle down effect
Yep.
that happens across the board. And it is about relationships. It is about,
Right.
it just, you can't, yes, you need to understand those dynamics, but I think there's also something about young people or people in general when they step into some church staff role. I remember I had the delusional thought that, oh, we're just going to read the Bible all day. I'm going to get really close to God. And no, you're going to be putting out fires and sheep
Sure.
bite and all, so it
Sheep
just,
bite.
I think it's important. A lot of what I do is walking alongside and going, hey, let me create some clarity. Okay, maybe he was coming from I play the devil's advocate a
Yeah.
lot,
Sure. Sure.
which is my role.
Yeah.
But I mean, I work most closely. There's a lady by the name of Morgan Hernandez who literally, like, yeah, we bounce everything off of, and she's been a kids pastor for a long time in
Yeah.
California. It just, it, I don't know. Leadership is about caring for people. I understand those things, but I think
Yeah.
um, a lot of times, upper leadership in churches usually struggle with that
Yeah.
whole "I don't want to deal with feelings" thing.
Hmm.
Well, people are human, and
Yep.
yes, if you're brought on board, yes, you need to function at um, uh, a certain tier, meaning I shouldn't have to sit there and babysit you all the time. But you need to also understand the ebbs and flows of life and growth. But if there's anything that I've been successful at, it's about helping people get to where they want to go.
Okay.
So, and it's never, I am not someone that is chasing the microphone. I'm not
Right.
someone, I
Right.
am fine if I'm just sitting back here loving, holding the toddler that's screaming, caring for the mom who doesn't know what to do, talking to
Yep.
the dad who feels like he's struck. That, it's yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
That
So
answers your question.
are you are you that way because you're older? Because even I get nicer in my old age, shockingly enough. Or is that your personality type? So I'm
Sure.
just curious because plenty of people are sitting on the other side of that screen, and then they'll be like, "Well, yeah, that's fine. My personality type's more introverted, but I took the job for this reason." Or I like kids, but yada
Yeah.
yada. So like, can you make other people like that? What takeaways can you give people to be caring like Todd?
Well, um, I, I, I am someone, and I'm sure it has to do with kid stuff. I lost my dad when I was young, those kind of
Yeah,
things. So those words are powerful, and I don't want anybody to lose a parent. I don't,
sure.
but it's just life journey. It's also making a lot of mistakes.
Hmm.
Like, the one thing I would say to people is you're going to mishandle stuff. The most important thing that you can do is swallow your pride and walk back into it and go, hey, I
Right,
messed that up, and
right.
you're yeah. I don't. There's not some kind of
Yeah, checklist or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. And every conversation's different. I had an amazing conversation with a couple yesterday that are in the middle of the fire, and it's
Mm.
a whole lot more listening. But I'm very much, I'm going to come shoulder to shoulder with you. I'm going to
Yep.
grind this out with you. I'm going to build trust. And once I have
Yep.
trust and relational equity with you, then I will be able to lovingly say hard things to you,
Yes.
and you're going to receive it the right way. You could
Yeah.
turn to me right now because of our relationship and go, "Hey, Todd, you don't need to wear green ever again." And I'm not going to read into that wrong. Some
Right.
random person at Walmart, and I'm going to be like, "You're weird," and
Yeah. Right. Right.
so it's just it had. We can't, in the middle of the fast pace and doing all the things and jockeying for the relationship. Oh, if I rub this shoulder, it's going to get me to the next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have this phrase that I've said to a couple of the team members as of late. Hey, you need to trust God and bloom where you're planted.
Yeah.
And I
Good.
love that. I love that
Yep.
phrase
Yeah.
because
Sure.
anything, I never looked for any of the church positions
Hmm.
um, outside of this last one. But
Right.
God has always just opened doors. And it
Hmm.
sounds so corny, and you can probably, I feel the old man in me when I say this. When you remain faithful in the little things, God's
Yeah,
going to
brother.
trust you. Yeah, but it is true. It's
Yeah.
boring,
That's
but
right.
it's worked
Yeah.
forever. That's
Yeah. That's
why.
right.
So yes, there is a bit of it. You said you talked about getting nicer as you get older. I think it's funny. You here's the difference in the 30-year-old Todd and the 50-year-old Todd. I do a
There you
lot
go.
more listening.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
A lot more listening than I do
Yeah.
talking. I'm not
Sure.
trying to prove a point. And
Yep.
as you get older, I'm not trying to sell you on who I am.
Right. That's true.
Don't if there was one thing that I would say to anybody is make sure you remain faithful to who you are.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, your integrity and your
Yep.
word,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the most important thing.
Totally agree. Dependability and consistency. I love all that. All
Yeah.
right, switching gears. Switching gears. Cliche kids ministry question. What's your definition, or at least working definition of a good quote successful kids ministry?
Uh, It's funny. I was just thinking through all this stuff. We're in the process of building out this whole foundations piece.
Yeah.
It's one of the many. I think it's on the checklist of 543 on the list, but we're slowly edging it
Right.
up, and then stuff keeps getting
Yeah.
inserted. A successful kids ministry is a kids ministry that um, um, represents not just leads, but represents Christ to children and parents.
Cool.
Um, I know that's pretty simple, but that's really I want my heart is that any parent or child that walks into those spaces feels the Holy Spirit, feels God and it working in those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I my favorite thing to do if I had my way, I'd just be standing on the nursery preschool hallway rocking a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
It's true.
Now, we've talked about I don't totally fit the mold, so I usually have to make sure I wear a badge or something like that. Because dad comes in, is like,
All right.
"Why is this dude holding my kid?" So, but it takes a little time. That was early when I was
Yeah.
there, but
Sure.
that would really be my heart. You want parents. Here's one thing that I will tell you, and this is sort of, I touched a little bit on it. Ministry looks different for me now, but one of the things that's been really, really life giving for me, and especially Morgan and I have been heading the charge on this, is the parenting. We started something called Parenting on Purpose,
Yeah.
and really, as well as I do, and we've seen all the Barna statistics. If you've been in kids ministry at all, you
Sure.
have an average of 30 hours in a year to minister to a child with all the responsibilities. So who really should be responsible for that?
Yes.
Well, if you look at it, it's like 90 something percent of kids ministry people believe that parents should be the responsible role. But Barna would tell you that 51% of parents think that church should.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
it's it, I think that's just a translation piece, but I think it comes from the fact that parents don't feel equipped. How many times have you had your kid walk up to you and ask you a question? You're like, man, I'm just going to act like I didn't
Right.
hear that. I'm going to act like I got a cramp and fall on the ground.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm
Yeah.
going to try and avoid it. Um, so,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
That's helpful. What
yeah.
what what's your biggest pain point? Not just like you at Celebration at one particular campus, but like maybe, or maybe that is the answer. I'm just curious. What's the man? I really wish I had this, or here's something we just still can't figure out. Like, what's that honest answer?
Um, I, the biggest challenge that I think the undercurrent, I don't feel that by any means at Celebration. But the undercurrent that I think every kids ministry person feels is that their voice isn't heard, that they're
Mm,
the afterthought. And that is by no means the case, but that's what we felt. That's what we saw
yeah, sure.
in watching that parent-child dedication with Pastor Joe and Pastor Lori. And
Yeah.
it, it was so sincere and so authentic. Um, and I guess what I would say to any kids ministry person that's sitting there, they need to lean into that. They need to have confidence in their voice. But here's the thing: people follow vision. Well, guess what? So does leadership.
Yeah.
So you're the professional in there, and I think it's easy as a kids ministry person when you feel like you're not totally heard, and you're just sitting here
Yeah.
whacking at the tree, and you got baby spit up on you, and you
Yeah.
smell like goldfish, all those kind of things. It's
Yeah.
easy to just sort of default yourself to, well, I guess it's never going to change. And you just sort of accept that as a reality, and it's just
Hmm.
not true.
Yeah.
You need to be able to have confidence, and that doesn't mean bending to something that you're not.
Sure.
You have to be the voice, but
Yeah.
just like people follow vision, so does leadership.
I
So
agree.
if you can cast the vision and go, this is what I feel like God's put on my heart, and and it's careful. I'll say this: make sure that your vision isn't being implemented from a dream team member or a volunteer that's complaining,
Yeah.
because now you're just being the conduit that
Yeah.
is the
Right.
clanging cymbal, and
Right.
usually leadership will see that.
Yep.
So,
That's a good
but
point.
yeah,
Hmm. So you're an expert leader. You're who everybody wants to be when they grow up.
don't
I know
say
that's
it.
true for
No.
me.
Don't say
Um,
expert. That's easy.
so, what are you doing to replace yourself? Like, how does that look for you? I know that there's some cliche answers to that, but what are you doing to make sure that you're building somebody up to do what you do?
I am someone, and team members sometimes go, okay, uh, I I want to see everybody go forward. I would be fine if I was never seen,
Hmm.
um, um, outside of just loving people.
Yep.
I believe wholeheartedly that I do not have the whole authoritarian approach. Well, that I am a kids
Hmm.
pastor, and and you need to whatever. Like
Right.
I've never had that. My greatest joy is watching team members grow, and I'm trying even right now to build and replicate myself, and it's happening in real time.
Yeah.
I think about the current team, teams that I've overseen in the past, but even the current one that I'm a part of. One of the ladies that leads one of the locations, she was a dream team member, and I met her the first Sunday. And I remember walking up to one of the team members and going, "Who's that?" Well, she's now leading that space. Another person started the week before I did, and we've watched her grow, and she's leading a location now. Another person was a dream team member under that person that's leading that location, and guess what?
Mm.
They're leading a look. So it that's a constant. And the thing that I would encourage any leader, regardless of kids ministry or not, is yes, it can get exhausting when you're
Yeah.
having to reparent, when you're having to say the hard things and do the basic things with these young leaders that come in. But please don't put them on a shelf of, man, this is just exhausting and I'm not going to deal with it.
Yeah. Right.
Love them enough
Yeah.
to say the things that need to be said. Some, and it's interesting, I know how I can talk to certain team members versus other team members, and how,
Yeah.
it's a throttling that you have to just sort of do this dance when you have those conversations. And what you'll find is over time you will see them grow, and the moment that growth starts to happen, you see that confidence build.
Yeah.
And that's what that is the thing that to me is just the best.
That's good.
is watching people do their thing and be successful at it.
Right.
And I'd be fine if I never got a microphone put in my hand. So
And I honestly think a lot of people like pay for that. I feel like a lot of people, even in church, we feel like if we're doing good at our job, then other people are doing good at their job. That makes us look like we're not doing very much.
sure.
And I think all the good leaders are like, no, that's fine. I'm paying you for the responsibilities you carry, not your activity you're getting done. It's just
Yeah.
funny that we fear that, but I mean, replacement's the goal in every place in life. So,
Yeah,
um,
if we do this job right, every single one of the current kids coordinators and leaders that are going to be in the team, we
yeah,
should be rolling them over, and they should be stepping into pastor roles. They should be
right,
stepping in director roles, whatever.
right,
They should
right,
go launch campuses, like
right.
whatever God's put on their heart. Our
Yeah,
responsibility is to not to sit there and hold a death grip
right.
on who
Yeah,
they are,
yeah,
but allow them. Hey, are we heading in the right direction? How are you feeling? How
right.
it's all that because it's not a one size fits all for
No.
everybody. It's like raising your kids. Is there a difference in how you have to approach your daughter versus your son? Of course there is.
Yeah, right.
Two
Yeah,
totally different things.
totally
Well,
agree with you.
people are the same way, and I think
Right.
it's just it's easy, and sometimes it's allowed or it's
Hmm.
accepted within the veil of, well, we're so busy.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
mm-mm. Not at the compromise of people.
Right.
Uh,
That's right. Good.
I don't know.
Oh,
So yeah.
just on that note, real quick, I one of my favorite campus pastors that was on my team. He's a good friend of mine to this day. He wanted to be a campus pastor, and that's long story short. I was like, again, long story short, a lot of conversation in here. Yeah, you're going to be a kids minister. He's married but had no kids, so he didn't fit the demographic either of all the traditional look. And then, but then later on, a couple years later, I moved him from kids pastor directly into launching a campus that I think became our best campus at the time. And so he still leads that one ahead of everybody else. And I just love it. It's not one size fits all. And he didn't follow a traditional path either, but it's all the same things that made him a great human. He was great at kids, and everything that made him a great kids pastor makes him a phenomenal campus pastor in this case.
Well, and
So
I think there's a natural. Well, personally, I'm being selfish. I think every campus pastor should spend some season in
yes,
students
yes.
and or kids,
Yep.
because here's the thing: in kids ministry, I one of the things that you usually hear in kids ministry is like, man, you guys are so organized, so dialed in. What because we don't have an option. We're thinking for in every aspect. Where
Hmm.
other ministry programs, we open the door, throw pizza, some basketballs out there, woo, let her rip. Okay, make
Great
sure they're
point.
not making out in the corner. So
Right.
it's just it has to be a different approach, and there's so
Right.
much more. The student ministry at our church is incredible. The way, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible. But um, it we have to so much think for in each one of those
Yes.
nuanced areas
Right.
that I think it naturally. I
Yep.
you know how I'll give I'm an analogy guy because I'm country is all good. Here's my pearl snaps. So I was a country boy long before all this. When you're driving down the road, your eyes are shifting. I remember teaching
Yep.
my son to drive, and he was like, "What are you looking at right now, Dad?" I said, "That." Okay, I noticed that car move. They just turned their wheel. Like
Yes. Yes.
that's the way you have to approach ministry in a leadership aspect. But here's the thing: the hard part is to downshift and be authentic in the moment.
Hmm.
When you get that hand on you, every time I see you, I walk up and hug you. And
Yeah.
we
Right.
don't talk about just surface level stuff.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
talk about intentional things that I
Right. Yeah.
saw either on social media. How's
Yep.
your mama doing? You being
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
to your dad? What
Right.
we're having a conversation because the thing is, busyness can never supersede. Busyness can never uh, oppress the time that you vest in people. Like
Yeah.
uh, we've only been to lunch, I think, maybe once or twice.
Right.
But I feel like I got a pretty good handle on who you are
Yeah.
because of those moments. You have to be able to downshift.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah,
I like that
and
example.
here's the deal. It is more about listening. I do a whole lot more listening than anything
Right.
else.
Right.
Because I think it's easy to go, well, I'm going to push my point into you.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's that's important.
That's helpful. What how why is it so we work in kids ministry, our family volunteers in kids ministry, and the sole reason is my wife's the baby whisperer and she's great at all things kids.
Yeah. Yep.
But 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 we had a very intentional conversation when we came to celebration a few years ago that says, well, nobody ever seems to want to work in kids ministry. That seems to always be the whole. So we're just going to sell out to that now on the front end. That was our reasoning for it. It's fine. You know, we obviously have experience with all that too.
Yeah.
Um, but why is it hard? And I probably have a different answer than most, but I'm just curious, why is it hard to quote recruit people in kids ministry? It's always seems to be lacking. Like, why is that the case? Why is that the brand of kids ministry that it sucks?
Well, there's a lot of layers there. I remember it's easy for a kids ministry pastor or a kids ministry person to go, man, if I could just have the senior pastor stand on the platform
Yeah,
every single Sunday and just go,
right.
man, you need to serve. That just sounds like you're rattling an alarm. I
Yep.
said it earlier, people are always going to follow vision. But
Yep.
here's
That's right.
one thing, when you get those people in, your greatest recruiters are the people that are inside the room.
Yeah, good.
Here's the thing, it's about shaping the voice and making sure that that vision that God's given you, that's all those pieces, is poured into them. They get a sense of that, and then they can be the representative voice. But here's another thing I would tell you, please, please, please do not take, and look, yeah, we got to make sure the 2-year-olds are alive. Okay, so that this is, there's some gray here.
Right.
But please don't take, if someone steps in and goes, hey, I'm interested in serving in kids ministry, we want them to shadow in all three spaces. If they
Mm.
give us, hey, nursery preschool, I think this is what I want. Well, you know, you're going to smell like diapers and this,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We have great air fresheners down there.
Sure.
Anyways, make sure they get an opportunity, because that also makes them go, oh well, what I say matters, and
Right.
my involvement matters. And the other part of this is, I tell everybody that steps into kids ministry is you're about to step into a community of people,
Mm.
and you're going to be connected with them in a deep way. So, but that's that pouring in and loving the leaders that oversee it. The leaders pour into the captains and leads that oversee those pieces,
Yep.
and then it's just replicated. It's sort of, what was the old pyramid schemes or whatever. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's sort of along those lines, and it shouldn't be hard.
I agree.
But it's vision, clarity. Do people, this is one thing I would ask, do people in your church know what you do?
Yeah.
If they don't,
Yeah.
what are you doing to fix that? Is it
Great.
we long ago we put together a parent guide. I meet a parent or I meet someone that's interested, because if I've got the young adult leader and he has someone ask, hey, just had a kid, what do you guys do? It empowers them. We have to be willing to empower our other pastors, our other staff members, lay leaders, whatever it may be, with information that communicates the heart of the kids ministry.
Yep. That's good.
And that trickles down into baptism and everything else. Do they have those basic things in places so that they're representing you well?
That's good, man. That's really, really helpful. All right, keep going. This is really good. So, what what has changed because kids ministry is not a step for you? You've been in it for a minute. Multiple places, multiple cities, different size churches. What's changed in 20 something years? Obviously, you have the cliche stuff and culture of like, and now it's the screen age, attention span sucks now. Slogo was asking that earlier on
Yeah.
this live. But like what has changed for the good or better? Like, so I would assume certain things have actually gotten better. Maybe it's ministry resource side of things. Maybe data has
Mhm.
gotten better for you, but like
Yeah.
just speak to that.
Yeah. Things that have gotten better. Curriculum. Boy, way back in the day, curriculum was a struggle. I used to do, I'm not even going to say the name of it because Lord help me, it'd be out there. But man, some of those old curriculums, it was like, I know we're
Yeah.
teaching the Bible, but does it have to look like it was made back in those days? Paul sitting there in prison writing it,
Yeah, yeah, for
writing it
sure.
along.
Yeah.
So that is one piece that has significantly changed for the better. A thing that has changed, in some ways it's better because it's, obviously every parent is technology.
Hmm.
The other things, parenting, what our kids face, this, what our
Hmm.
kids face is totally different. My kids are
Hmm.
25 and 29, but I know, it's interesting as you get older in kids ministry. you
Hmm.
struggle to stay connected to what it feels like to be that preschool parent, to be that
Yeah.
nursery parent, to be
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah.
So I have a front row seat watching my son raise, sort of a set of Irish twins. He got a 5 and a 4, and then he's got a just over a 1, and he's got another one coming in October. But watching that, so
Hmm.
what I would tell you is the things that have changed is if there was one thing that I would probably speak to, if you want to make an impact in the lives of children,
Hmm.
you had better lean heavily into caring for and equipping and empowering parents.
Yeah, sure.
You have to. It is so so important.
That
And
seems hard to do when we're hiring 21-year-old people that can't tie their shoes. Their whole life has gone from homeschool to Christian school to Christian university to internship.
it
And
is.
God bless all of those people. So how can you do that in light of hiring those kind of people?
Well, and I think you need to because it's funny, you have certain people, and I sort of define those as the fun aunt or uncle that
Hmm.
comes in that, at what you quickly know is parents that, well, the kids want to be that high school leader. They want to be
Yep.
that young
Right.
adult leader. They want to be
Right.
those people that you're
Yeah.
hiring. But I think what it has to come where it has to land if you don't feel like if I'm and I know the sort of tier that I'm at the church that I'm at, but if I'm going to put my hat on where I'm in the middle of it. Okay.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think and let's say that I'm 25, 28, just had my first preschooler. I didn't sleep last night, whatever. I'm in the middle of those things. I think something that's really really valuable is to seek out maybe some of those wise people. Obviously you want
Yes.
leadership to buy into it,
Sure. Right.
whether it's a parent counselor, and be careful, too many voices, you have to filter that a
Yes.
lot, but
Right.
really get a group of people that go, hey, what do you see, what, those kind of things, and have them, as you build trust, you will find somebody that has a heart to go, man, I don't understand the world that I'm living in. I live, I'm blessed, she's widowed twice, but she's 85. I live with my mother-in-law, and it is interesting watching life and the world that we
Mm.
live in through her filter, but then turning around to my 1-year-old Kason
Yeah.
and my grandson and going, man, just two total bookends. So I think leaning into the people, it doesn't have to be the pastors. It doesn't have, yes, they come with an authority. I think it can be emphasized there, whether it's you've got sort of seasons of life. Maybe,
Hmm.
you choose the older couple in the 70s, whatever, 70-year-old range, or, and you sort of trickle it down all the way to the parents. It gives a full scope
Yeah.
of, how to care for parents. And there's so
Right.
many resources. Andy Stanley's got a book called Parenting. The
Yeah.
Anxious Generation is
Yeah.
like,
Sure. Yeah.
there's so many good books out there that
Yeah.
I think it's easy as a kids ministry person. If I'm in the middle of the grind, I'm spending so much time pushing the plow
Yeah.
that I read those things or I hear the podcast, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, we need to fix that. Okay, let me go back and just make sure I'm doing the basic things. I think you need, as a leader or as a pastor of a location in kids ministry, you need to be willing to let some of that authority go. Maybe you're the trigger voice, but you're leaning on the people that are around you that can
Right.
actually speak to those things. Now,
Good.
you need to make sure it's filtered and it aligns and all those
Hmm.
pieces. But there's some incredible resources out there that just
Yeah.
really, really would help you. But that's where I would go.
Yeah.
If I'm, and I've done it before,
Sure.
and it works, but it's, it's wisdom. It's
Yes.
just it's making mistakes and it's willing to
Yeah.
laugh about them.
Right.
I only have what God has given me because I was willing to get back up after I fell on my face.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
You just said a few of these. Rattle off a few of these resources that are helpful to you.
yeah. I've
Books
got.
and
It's
maybe
funny.
there's conferences. There's anything like that. I'm just be curious what those are.
Yeah. So um, Anxious Generation,
Yeah.
amazing book.
Yeah.
Parenting, Andy Stanley wrote that book, outstanding. It was really sort of the foundation of a lot of the stuff that we did. We worked, I got to give a giant shout out to, I know you know him, Ryan McDermott out at Christ Fellowship.
Yeah, sir. Okay.
Amazing guy. So Christ Fellowship out of
Yep.
Florida. And Ryan, I apologize in advance if you're about to get blown up, but he is an amazing guy. They had
Yeah.
developed a parenting program out there. We took it, we sort of adapted it, and that's how we came up with the Parenting on Purpose stuff. But it is
Right.
phenomenal. It's simple resources, and this can be done within within a small group format.
Yep.
But I will tell you the way that we chose to do the Parenting on Purpose stuff. It was, and whether you're the one that teaches it or
Yeah.
however, the most important part of that was when we did the teaching, we left an opportunity for a group of parents, whether they were high school, middle school, brand new, just whatever, to have a conversation about how they approach parenting. And the
Mm.
thing that happened in it was incredible. We had like over 700 people come to the
Yeah.
thing, and it
That's great.
was amazing. And we're doing it again in the fall, and we've got different resources out there. So here's the thing that I would tell you. If you've got your kids ministry hat on and you're the 25-year-old plowing away, whatever it may be, you don't have to know all this stuff, but parents in the room do,
Yes.
and or in your church do.
Right.
And don't feel like it's, oh, I'm less than. If
Yeah.
I'm empowering somebody to actually stand there, and maybe you're the coach, maybe you're asking
Yeah.
questions and leading them along. But the richest part of that whole process was the conversation that happened around the table.
Good. Helpful.
Yeah,
All right. So this is a question I get more and more that I don't know many people who do. There's only two churches that I'm aware of who have any version of a remotely decent special needs ministry. That'd be you guys and my great
yeah,
friends at All People in Boston.
yeah,
I know other people that attempt it, try it,
yep,
interested, because obviously maybe there's one of them, or maybe a friend who has a child with special needs or something. But I don't even know if I have a good question for that because it's such a it's still
yeah,
just out there on the
yeah,
frontier. Even you
yeah.
guys, like, man, who else is doing this great? Like,
Sure.
just speak to that. What are you guys
Yeah, well,
doing,
and
and how do you get good at it?
that is near and dear to my heart, and I've got
Yeah.
other team members that they're navigating that season. That's my younger sister with special needs,
Hmm.
and so it's one of those things that it's challenging.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that you think of special needs ministry, you think of deaf ministry. When you can lean into those things and bless those
Hmm.
people, oh, just watch out. Now, the thing, and if anybody has ever thought about going down the special needs route, I think you need to start small. Don't need to overextend yourself. If I could sort of
Hmm.
snap my fingers, I'm sure Pastor Joe would want this too. I'm sure we'd have a multi-level building and we could have everything in the world,
Right.
all those kind of things. But it's, and this sort of helps me touch something too. Don't be discouraged if those visionary pieces that you feel like God's leading you down don't happen in the time that you want.
Yep.
It's not
Yep.
that they don't care. It's not that they're not listening. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track, but I just
No, I
need to
got you.
sort
Yeah.
of say that. But special needs ministry in general is something we have an incredible leader that oversees that, Lyra Stewart, and
Hmm.
she's amazing. But she's been in special needs ministry for a long time. So here's what I would tell you to do: pastor, leader in a location. Find that person that it's their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Once again, when you're building leaders, it's not filling the to-do list. There's always going to be the to-do list, but if you can find those people that you can equip, you can lean from and go, hey, how should this be? What can we do? And it's baby steps, those kind of
Yeah.
things. Because special needs is, man, it's everywhere. You see so many kids, different levels of spectrum of
Yeah.
autism. It's
Yeah.
just, and there's, I mean, we're not going to get into the whole diet and the food I
Hmm.
mean, there's a million different opinions out there.
Right.
But just be very, very patient in your execution of it.
Right.
I will tell you, in most cases, special needs ministries begin when someone either there's some kind of connection to senior leadership, or
Yeah.
there's
Right.
some, and it goes, oh, there's a need, or there's a key person, or
Yeah.
whatever, a
Right.
leader, those kind of things. But in most cases, special needs ministry, to give you a simple next step, maybe it's a buddy system. Now,
Right.
buddy systems are great, but buddy systems can also create a lot of chaos.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's you do have to measure it. But it is a real need that I think everybody feels. And usually it's interesting, like even as we went through Easter, we had one of our locations that had six special needs kids show up that
Wow.
I think five out of the six they'd never met before.
Mm.
So what do you do in those situations? Well, you do
Hmm.
try to adapt them into the program, but um, it's a definite need. But what I would encourage you to do is over deliver, but like you need to tiptoe into it,
Yeah.
because if it gets out there that there is this big piece, sometimes it can create a windfall that you won't totally be prepared for. It's
That's right.
about development, it's about training, it's about empowering, it's
Yeah.
vision,
Yeah.
it's all of these different
That's
pieces.
good.
But I will tell you, the buddy system is a great first step.
That's good.
Yeah.
What first of all, thanks for coming on and talking about all this stuff. This has been
Yeah.
helpful. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not shocked by that. But my last question, unless you have anything else that
Yeah.
I well, my last question is that what am I not asking you? What is everybody else asking you or coming to visit? I mean, surely you have a couple of people swimming through the church every now and then being like, "Hey, you guys are a big church, y'all know stuff." So, what are we not talking about that we should mention?
Um, Trying to think. We've covered a lot. It's
Yeah, we've hit
okay.
a lot of the big pain point
Yeah,
pieces.
it's okay. It's okay if something gets repeated. I it it is hmm. It's easy as a kids ministry person. I know I've talked about this. It's easy as a kids ministry person to feel overlooked. But I
Hmm.
will tell you that you will, when it comes to the parenting ministry stuff,
Yep.
if there was any one thing that I would, here's a couple of just a checklist. You
Yep.
need to create some kind of parent guide, some type of informational piece that's available at your check-in desk, that's available to whoever your greeters, guest people, whatever
Yep.
it may be, to communicate what your ministry is and who your
Hmm.
ministry is. And
Hmm.
here's the thing I'm going to tell you: don't put a picture of yourself in it.
That's great.
Don't put a picture of your team in it. You want me to tell you why? Because if
Please,
you're
love
doing
that.
things right, because it's not about you.
Right.
And that's hard, right?
I love that.
Yeah. So, and if you're doing it right, all of those people are going to change.
Yes. That's
Okay.
great, man. I like that.
So make sure that's a first step.
Hmm.
Put vision pieces in front of your people, in front of your team, in front of your dream team, in
Yeah.
front of your staff. Make sure they stay connected to the why. But here's the most important part. Yes, you're human, but you need to be the representative voice of it.
Yeah.
You need to be the connector. You need to be the person that all of those things matters. But let me tell you the thing that's going to really just jam a thorn underneath the nail of every kids ministry person. We are tenacious people. We are doers. We are high level doers. And as much as you want me to tell you what's just unnerving is when
Please.
you hand some responsibility to somebody and they don't meet the expectation, you need to be okay with it, because that's where growth comes.
Yeah, right.
And man alive, you can
People lose
call
their
it.
mind.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
it is so crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Empower them. If it doesn't look exactly like what you want,
All right.
maybe you walk in and instead of going, yeah, don't do that again. Yeah,
Hmm.
super good, way good. They're already looking at other churches on the way home, right?
Yep, for sure.
And praising your name the whole way. How
Right.
about you walk in and go, what did you learn? How did that feel to you? What would you do different? Is there
Yeah,
something
better
else that
question.
would impact? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Involve them in a way that it feels, hey,
Great.
like, okay, well, this is what I noticed. Well, man, this is a resource I can get for you, or whatever it
Great.
may be.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, parenting, it just don't forget it's about people. And I'm going to say this again, wherever you're at, kids ministry person or ministry person in general, work, I don't care what you're doing. You know, a lot of people, you could
Hmm.
have some guy in corporate, bloom where you're planted.
Right. That's good.
Don't constantly try to jockey for the next thing. We see
Hmm.
it, you see that in a lot of younger people,
Yeah.
where they're trying to get close to the right shoulder that they think is going to push them forward.
Yep.
And here's the deal: I feel like God checks my heart when He will check
Hmm.
you. And
Yeah.
but I, it, bloom where God's planted you,
Right.
and it really takes care of itself. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. Dude, thanks so much, man.
Oh, this has been
I'm glad I
outstanding.
got time with you today. This is beneficial to me. You said
Well, you
stuff
just
that
need to
relates to
look.
me. So,
You need to come out to the house. We have to.
well,
We
that's
say this
true.
all the time. Look, I'm going to cook you a big fat steak and
That's
mashed
what we need to
taters
do.
and all the stuff, and then we can just sit around the fire pit and
Way
not with a
better.
fire. It's too hot, but like
Totally too
we
hot.
just sit there and with the meat sweats and all that stuff. So.
Not my first day. Let's go. Man,
Man,
thanks again.
Sweb, I got to give you a shout out, dude. You're an incredible asset to people. If there's anybody out
Well, I
there that
appreciate that.
just is trying to go, hey, I'm not really sure how to take some of these next steps. I will warn you, he's very direct and can sometimes, he's going to say it, and so put your feelings on the shelf
That's
when you
true.
go into it.
That's true.
But just so thankful for you and who you are and your heart for people, and I know you're changing churches and ministries out there, and we're one of them. There's been times that I've called you and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
what are sort of some basic
Yeah.
things?" Part of the parent guide, we had
Yeah.
sort of triggered something. You'd given me some resources from different places that you had, and so,
That's good.
man, it just just thankful for you, man. You're
Man, I
incredible.
appreciate that. Yeah, I love being on your team, man. I love seeing you. So I appreciate what you do, buddy.
Yep.
So, all right,
Well,
man. Let's go. Let's go lunch. Let's hang out.
yeah. Love you, bro. Be
I love
good.
you, man. We'll see you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.